1970 marks a change in the relationship between man and computer for ENIAC and all of the computers that came after it were primarily related between organization and machine. There wasn't necessarily one owner. Certainly there could be one main leader, but no one owned it as much as the organization associated with it. But with the advent in 1970 of the personal computer, the relationship changed. The first computer, personal computer, this is what it looks like. It was called the Kenback 1. The first was sold in early 71. We assume it was built in 1970. And this here is the man who built it. This is who we can thank for all of our personal computing experiences. So 1970 is when this threshold really took place. What we're interested in is 1977. And the reason is through Aleister Crowley. And remember, we talked about him before because of his connection with Enochian magic. And Crowley was a prolific author, and one of his books was called the Book of Oz, or the Book of 77. So now we have this 77 connection. And the reason why that's interesting is, just like we saw before with the nuclear power, there is also an emergence of the Trinity. And so now again, we're beginning to see this subtext with its Judeo-Christian language. And what the 1977 Trinity represented, the phrase was coined by Byte magazine. It was the launch of 3 successful commercial personal computers. So this is when personal computing went from this to what we now know of it today. And these 3 computers are the Apple II, the Commodore PET, and Radio Shack's TRS-80. 1977 was also significant because this is when Star Wars was introduced into the collective consciousness. And Star Wars undoubtedly has had the greatest influence on popular culture in general, but specifically introducing a lot of esoteric ideas, the Force and so forth. 1977 is also the birth of the Atari 2600 on September 11th of all dates. And this is arguably the device which really made video games in the home a commonplace. 1977 also marks the discovery of Chiron, and for anyone who speaks the language of astrology, you'll know the significance of that. And so the 77 link is through Aleister Crowley, and Crowley referred to himself as the Great Beast 666, whether he was doing that literally or tongue-in-cheek. Different arguments have been made. I do not know, but I do know that he has referred to himself as that. And the Great Beast 666 has certain connotations, biblical connotations, as does the Apple computer, particularly its logo with the bite taken out of it. We think about the serpent and the story of Adam and Eve in Genesis. Though in truth, Apple's original use and logo for their computer was not that of an apple with a bite out of it, but of Sir Isaac Newton and the apple falling on his head. But nonetheless, Newton was a Rosicrucian, so no matter how you look at it, there's some real depth into this symbology. But let's keep on going. Apple's first computer was priced at $666.66. Certainly corresponds to the Great Beast 666. And Apple's founder, Steve Jobs, he also has a connection. Whereas the character from the Book of Job was a man living in Uz or Oz. Remember, the Book of 77 is also known as the Book of Oz. And he was tempted by the devil. And that's the story behind there. So we can see all of this different symbology beginning to just show itself through the subtextual language of mundane reality.